So let's close it, and also let's close Program.cs and this, and let's go and implement our auth. So let's go here and copy the name from here and create a new service. Let's new as entities and controllers, and go to the services. So let's add a new class with name of AuthService. Enter. So this is the AuthService, and you know that it needs to inherit from AuthService. And after inheriting from it, we need to press Ctrl dot and implement interface. So this is it. You can see that it is so easy. That's good. So we need to implement all of them one by one, but before that we need to have some services. So let's add all of them. Okay. So the first thing is we need to have a private read only of user manager. We want to work with the user manager, and for it we need to have the application user of user manager. Let's press Ctrl dot and create a constructor and use this. Okay, so you can see that we are receiving it in our constructor, and this is the dependency injection phase. That's so good. After user manager, also I want to have a role manager. So let's create a private read only of role manager, because here I want to work with roles. It's a generic type, so let's pass the identity role to it, and let's use the name of role manager and press Ctrl dot. So we need to add the parameter to our constructor. That's it. So we added the role manager and we injected it to our auth service. So good. After role manager, I want to have log service again, because I want to have some logs. So I want to have logs for register, login, update role, and another one. So let's add log service of underline log service. Let's press Ctrl dot and add the parameter to the constructor. You can see that it is added. So good. So after log service, again I want to have another one. Let me show you that. Private read only of, this time I want to use configuration, because I want to have access to app setting.json key and values. So let's use this configuration and press Ctrl dot and add this parameter to our constructor. So you can see that I have the configuration here. That's so good. So let's minimize this and continue. So let's check IOT service. So the first one was seed roles async. So let's implement seed roles, because here it's alphabetically sorted and it is here. So I will cut it and it would be the first one. So this is number one. Let's implement seed roles. Inside the seed roles, I want to seed my roles to the database. So let's create some booleans first. So I create a boolean variable with name of is owner role exist equals to await of underline role manager dot role exists async. And for the name of role, instead of sending this string to it, we created a static. So let's use that static user roles dot owner. This is it. So you can see that we are avoiding any typing errors, and this is really good, and it will help us in all of our projects. So in all of our projects, instead of typing, we're using this static user roles dot owner, and if in any situation in the future we want to change it, it will be changed automatically on all of our projects. That's good. So this was for the first one. After that, I want to have another boolean. So let's create a boolean of is admin role equals to await of underline role manager dot role exist async of static user roles dot admin. After that, I want to have manager. So let's use a boolean of is manager role exist equals to await of underline role manager dot role exist async of static user roles dot manager. Let's press Ctrl C Ctrl V, and for the final one we can use user, and here we say is user role exists. So we created 4 variables to check all of them. Then we say that if all of them are exists and is admin, and is admin and is manager role and is user role exists. So if all of them are exist, that's good. It sees that seeds are done already. So we simply can create a new response. So return a new general service response DTO, and simply we say that this success is true and the status code would be 200 and the message would be role seeding is already done, and that's it. So if all of them are exist, we simply return this, and you know what, we can avoid this curly brace because we have just a return else continue. We can inject all of them. So we use await of role manager dot create. We create a new role in this way. So we say new identity role of static user roles dot owner. So let's copy paste it 2, 3, 4. First one is owner, then we add admin, we add manager, and we add user. So we will add, using this command role manager dot create async, we will add owner and admin and manager and user to our database. That's good. Then we can simply return a new response. So let's copy this. We return the new response. Is success is true. Okay. The is success this time is 201 because 201 is for the creation, and we say that role seeding done successfully. That's it. Let's delete this. So this is the seeding. Now let's minimize the seeding and go to the next one. So after seeding, we have register async. So let's find the register and move it to the top. This is the register async. I cut it and paste it after the seed roles async. So let's delete these. For the register async, let's create first a var of is exists user because we want to avoid duplicate of the username. So we say that var is exists user equals to await of, we need to use async here because we are using await in this register async, and also on login we use async. So we say that we search on the user manager, we say that user manager dot find by. You can see that I have find by email, by ID, by login, by name. So we want to search the username, so we say find by names async of the registered DTO that we are receiving dot username. So we can simply check that if the username is duplicate or not. So let's add some spaces here. That's good. So we use this var and we say that if the is exist user is not null, you can see that how cool sharp and C# it is. We simply return a new general. So you can see that I'm using general service response in all of my services. That was a so good idea. I use it on my business project. So we can use is success is false. That's it. For the status code, we can use 409 for the duplicate, and we can have a message. So username already exists. That's good. So if the username is exists in our database, we can simply call this and we return this response. So what is the problem? Not all code paths return a value. Yes, that's good. No problem because we just have this if. Let's continue. So after this if, we know that this username is not exist on our database. So we create it and we save it on our database. So let's do this. Let's create a application user of new user equals to new application user. Let's have a first name. The first name equals to register user DTO dot notice dot first name. And then let's have the last name is register DTO dot last name. Let's add the email, which equals to register user DTO dot email. Good. Let's add the username, which equals to register user DTO dot username, and also the address we receive it from register user DTO. And let's add a security stamp. The security stamp would be a new GUID. So let's add GUID dot new GUID dot to string. That's it. So we created, what is if? So we created a new user. Now we can add this new user to our database. So let's use var of create user result, because we can check the result of it, which is await of underline user manager. Here we create the user. We use this create new user async. The first input would be the new user, and the second one would be the password. Why we are using this? Let's use this password, because the password would be hashed, and it would be a hashed password that's saved in our database. So this is really good because identity package is so powerful. So after this create user result, you will check it. If not of create user result that succeed. So if it was not successful, let's create some error string and return it to the front end. So we use var of error string equals to user creation failed, because this is the standard error string. After that, we use a for each. No, not for loop. We need to use for each, and we say that for var of error in the create user result dot errors, because we are receiving some errors and it succeeds from this await of user manager dot create async. We can check all of them. So we say that for each var of errors, var of error in create user result dot errors, we need to add them to this error string. So we say that error string plus equals to a sharp to separate them one by one, and error dot description. So you can see that how easy it is. This is it. So after this loop, we need to return a message to front end. So let's copy this return quickly, and we return a new general. So it succeeds false. The status code this time is 400 for the bad request, and the message would be this error string. Control S, that's it. So this is for the validating of our front end, our creation. So if it was not successful, we will receive the error strings and we return it to the front end. After that, let's continue. So let me add a comment. So I want to add a default user role to all of new users. Let's do it. So let's use await of user manager dot add to role async, and the first one is the user. So for the new user, I want to add an static user roles dot user. So this is it. Automatically, this user will be automatically added to any new user. This is the string of user, and it will be our new role. That's so good. And also after that, I want to have a log. So let's await a log service dot say new log. That's it. So the first one is new user dot username. So this is the username of our log, and for it, for the description, we can use registered to website, and that's it. We just use await. We don't need any return of it. And after that, it seems that everything is working correctly. So let's return a new response. Let's copy this response from here, and here this time we say it succeeds. This true, so good. For the status code we use 2 or 1, and for the message, let me copy that. So the user created successfully, and let's delete these extra spaces, and that's it. So we created it, and this is our register async. Let's minimize it and go to the next one. What is the next one? Let's go to the IOT service. So after register async, we have this login async. So let's go to the service and find the login. This is it. Let's cut it. And after register async, we implement the login async. The first thing is let's add async because it's an async. Good. In first step, we need to find the user with the username that we are sending to this login async. So let's do this. The first thing is we use var user equals to await of user manager. We find this user by using find by name async of the login DTO dot username. That's it. And if the user is exists, we continue. But if the user is null, we need to return 401. Oops, not in. If user is null, we simply return. We must return a null to our controller. But what is this? This is null. But it seems that we need to receive a login service response. So this is not good. So let's make it nullable. And also let's go to the for the login async. Let's go to the IOT service and make it a nullable. It's better if we receive a null. It means that we need to receive 401. That's so good. So let's continue. So the first thing is we search for the user in database. If the user is null, we simply return null to controller, else we continue. So let's continue. So we need to add this authorization of check password of the user. So let's check it. Var of is password correct equals to await of underline user manager dot check password async. The user is this user and the password is login DTO dot password. We are using this because the password is saved as a hashed password in our database, and that's so good. So here we check it, and again we check that if the not of is password correct. So if it is false, we simply return null again. So if the user is not exist or its password is wrong, we simply return null, and we say to the front end that this username and password or these credentials are invalid. That's so good. Now let's continue. So if the user is valid and the password is valid, we return token and user info to our front end. Let's do this. So we need to create a new token. That token can be something like this, and also we need to have the user info. We need to send the user info to our front end. So let's create it. But before that, for example, we want to have a user info equals to an object of user result. But let's create two helper functions for them because we want to use them on another function. So let's create them. The first one is we want to have a new function. So let's create a new function named generate JWT token async. We will pass this user to it, and we want to create this generate JWT token async that receives a user, and it would return the new token for us. So let's copy its name and create it. So the name must be generate JWT token async. Let's go in the final part of our auth service. So this must be it. Let's comment it. So let's create it. We need to create a new function, and I want to create a private function because this doesn't need to be accessed from the outside of auth service. So let's create a private async with the return type of task, and this is a generic task of a string. So the name would be this generate JWT token async. It would receive an application user of user. That's it. So let's work on it. The first thing is we need to have the roles. So let's use var of user roles equals to await of user manager dot get roles async of this user. So this is the all roles that this user has. It can be owner, admin, or anything else. Then let's create an auth claims of new list of claims. So we can have you can have any claim you want. So I want to have a claim types dot name and user dot username. So this is one claim I want to have in my token. Let's copy it, and after that we can have, for example, name identifier, which is the ID, and we can use the user dot ID. Let's copy paste it again, and also we can have a custom claim. For example, I can receive you can use anything you want. I use first name, would be the user dot first name, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and also I want to return the last name. This is not required, but I'm showing you because this is a tutorial, and you can see that in the feature you can return any custom claim you want to the front end. So that's it. So we have some roles and we are using these auth claims. Then we need to add a new role for each of our roles to our claims. So let's add a for each. So for each var of user role in user roles, the auth claims dot add. So we add a new claim. Let's copy it quickly from here because it's exactly like it. So we use claim types dot role and we use this user role. This will add all of the roles to the auth claims. That's it. So we added all of the roles to our claims. Let's continue. After that, we want to work with the secrets and credentials in our token object. Well, let's create them first. So var of auth secret, but our code would be cleaner. So new symmetric security key. Again, let's, you know what, let's go to the Program.cs and show you that this is exactly like this. Let me copy all of this because the issuer sign-in key would be this. So let's copy this, and in AuthService for the auth secret, let me show you that it would be a new symmetric security key of encoding.utf.get bytes of the secret, which is coming from, let me show you again in app setting, is coming from this secret. In Program.cs, by using builder.configuration, we have access to appsetting.json, but in our services, we don't access to it by this builder. How we can do this? Let me show you. We have access to it by configuration of underline configuration, and we injected it here in our constructor. Let's use it. So let's copy this configuration name quickly, and here, instead of this builder.configuration, let's use underline configuration of JWT secret. That's it. So we created our auth secret. After that, let's create a credential. So let's have var of signing credentials, a new signing credentials, and we use the auth secret. It was this. Let me show you. This is the secret that we are creating it here, and we want to encode it using security algorithm.h mac of SHA 256. That's it. We're using this algorithm, and you can check it on the jwt.io, and I will show you that later. So this is the signing credentials. After that, we can have a new token. So let's create it. So the var of token object equals to, here we create our JWT security token, and inside of that we can have an issuer. Or issuer would be, let's copy all of them from the Program.cs. So the valid issuer, it would be this. Let's go to the auth service. Okay, it would be this, but we use underline configuration. That's it. And after that, we can have the audience like top, underline configuration. Good. Let's copy it. But here for the valid, for the audience, we use this key. Valid issuer, valid audience. Sorry, it's it. So we use, for the issuer, we use that. Issuer, for the audience, we use valid audience. Not before would be the time of the stamp, the security timestamp of creation time. So for the not before, we can simply use datetime dot no. That's it. And after that, we can say that when this expires. So the expires would be datetime dot no dot at hours of, for example, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, anything you want. I use 3, so this would be valid for 3 next hours. That's so good. And also we need to add claims. This claims is too important, so we use this add claims that we created on the top. That's so good. And also we can use the signing credentials. So this is one of the most important type of our JWT, and that's it. So I think it's completed. So we created this token object with a new JWT security token. We have issuer, audience, and not before, expires, claims, signing credentials. That's good. After that, we can give the string of token from it. So let's create a token JWT security token handler dot write token of this token object, and we can simply return this token. This is it. So it seems that we created our generate JWT token async. Let's minimize it. That's good. Now it must work. Let's go back to our login async. Now you can see that it is created, and this must be a task of a string. We can use await because now this is async. So we created our new token. After that, I want to have a user info. So for that, I will create a new helper function because I want to use it on another function, and it would be reusable using this function. It's better, but before that, let's use our roles. So I say var of roles equals to await of underline user manager dot get roles async of this user, and in this new function I want to use the user and roles. So I will pass this user and this roles to this function. So let's copy the name of it from here and create it on the end. Let's comment it. So again, this can be a private because we just need it in our auth service. So we create a private. Let's copy the name again. So we create a function of private generate user info object, and what is the type of it? So it would not return a task. It simply returns a user info result. We created that info result for here. So what it would be received? It received an application user of user and an I in our variable. User and I in our variable with generate type of string of roles. That's it. So we just simply need to return a new user info result, and for the ID we use user.id. That's good. For the first name we use the user.first name. For the last name we use user.last name. It's suggesting me, so good. For the username we can use user.username. Then we can have the email, which equals to user.email, and also let's have a created at, which equals to user.created at, and also let's have the roles, which equals to the roles that we are receiving in our function. That's it. So I think it's okay. Let's check it. So we have a private user info result of generate user info object. We receive application user of user and enumerable of roles. We return a new user info result and we create anything we want. So it's easy. You can use automapper, but in this project I didn't want to use automapper, so I added this function. Let me add a comment for it quickly. We are returning this. Let's minimize it and go back to our login async. So it was here, so we are using this user info result. After creating this user info result, also I want to have a new log. So let's, instead of var, let's use just simply await of, and also you can ignore await if you don't want, but I'm just showing you that you can use this await because this is a task, and if you ignore the await, the program would be continued and you would not be stopped for result of this log. But I use await of underline. Log service dot save a new log for this login. That's good. So for the first one would be the user dot username, the first input, and new login. So we are saving a new log, and then everything is okay. We can return the data to our controller. So let's return a new login service response DTO, because the type, let me show you again, the type of this login async would be a task of login service response DTO, and here we can return a new token which equals to new tokens, and also the user info would be, what is the name of it? The user info. That's it. Let's close this. So we created our login, and you can see that it is too easy. First we check for the username, then we check for the password, and if username and password is correct, we create a new JWT token for it. Then we create the user info with the roles of this user like this, and then we save a new log to our database. Then we return this response to our controller, and this response would be sent to our frontend. Let's minimize this login async. That's good. So let's go back to the interface. I close the interface, no problem. Let's open our interface again. So AuthService. So after login async, we have update role async. Let's work on it. Let's go to the AuthService and update role. You here. Update role. Let's cut it from here. After login, I want to work on this update role async. So let's close this and make it an async task. That's good. So in the update role async, we're receiving the user and update role DTO. So first let's check the user. You know what? Let's check the login. Yeah, we exactly need to copy this because it's like it, and paste it here. So we say that var user equals await of user manager dot find by name async of the update role DTO dot username. So we check it, and if the user is null, we can simply return. Let's copy it quickly from here. Okay, we can return a new general service response DTO with its success of false and a status code of 404, which means not found. And for the message, we use invalid username. That's it. So this is the first validation we have. And let's have some space here. That's good. So after it, we know that the user is exists if we are passing this if. That's good. So let's have the user roles. So we say var of user roles equals to await of underline user manager dot get roles async of the user. We need this user roles. So just the owner and the admin can update roles. We check it. So first we say that if user is in role, by using this user that is in role, you can check the role of your user. So here we need to check that if it's admin. So let's use a static user roles dot admin. So we check that if the user is admin, then we check that if the update role DTO dot new role equals to role type user. So we created this role type and we can simply use it. So if it's the role type the user or updated role DTO dot new role equals to role type dot manager. So if it's it, let me add a new comment. So if the new role is user or manager, the admin can work on it because the admins can change the role of everyone except for owners and admins. So if it is owner or admin, it would not be performed. So this is if the new user role is user or manager, we can simply continue. How we can make sure that the user that we are going to update is not an admin or an owner? It's too easy. We can simply check it because we have the user here and we have the user roles here in user roles. So we can check it that if the user roles dot any q where q equals to a static user roles dot owner or q dot equals to a static user roles dot admin. So we have error. It says that if q equals to this, okay, it's here, or q that equals to the static user roles dot admin. So if the user roles is owner or admin, we don't access to it. So let's return a new response here, and we return false with response of 403, which is a forbidden. Let's have a new message here with message of you are not allowed to change role of this user because this user is either admin or owner. So this is for this if. And after that, we can say that else we can use await of user manager dot remove from roles async of the user and user roles. That's it. We delete all of the roles from the user, then we use await of underline user manager dot add to role async of the user and updated user role dot new role dot to string. That's it. And after that, we can have a log. So let's have an underline log service dot save a new log. The username would be user dot username, and also the message would be role updated, or we can use user role updated, or we can use user roles updated. You can use any log you want. That's it. And after that, we can return a new message. So let's copy this message from here and paste it. So after that, we return a new general service response DTO. The is success would be true. The status would be 200. And the message would be role updated successfully. And that's it. So after this, and here, so we checked everything for this user. Here, we check that if the user is owner or admin, we return a new general service response DTO. Else, we change the user roles and we delete the previous roles. We add the new roles. We add a new log, and also we return a new response here. So after that, use an else. So let me show you that if the updated role is not a user or a manager, you can simply return again. Let's copy this. we can return a new general service response DTO with is success of false, and 403 for the message we say you are not allowed to change role of this user. Why? Because in this situation the new user is admin or owner and we don't want to access to it. That's it. So this was for the first one, that was this situation if user is in role of static roles.admin. Let's go to the next step, and after that we use an else. If the user is not in role of admin, we know that the user is in role of owner, and we will make sure this by using the authorization in our controller. So here we say that the user is owner, and let's continue. This time it's easier. In the previous example we used this, so let's copy this checking here. And if the user is owner, we can have any change. For example, the owner, the admin, the user, and the manager. So let's copy it, but this time we just need to use the owner. So we check that if user roles.any of q, where q equals to user static.owner, we simply return a new. So if the user is owner, we don't want it to change the other owner, so let's return a new message. Let's copy from here. We return a new general service response with false 403, and you are not allowed to change role of this user. That's it. And after this if, which would be, I think here, we can use an else. Again, let's copy this because we want to perform it again. So we use await of underline user manager dot remove from roles async of user and user roles. Then we use await of user manager dot add to roles async of user and updated user role dot new role. And also we use await of log service dot save new log of user dot username and user roles updated. That's good. Then we can simply return a successful message. Let's copy this message from here. Copy pasting is a good idea in your project. That's it. So we return a new message of true with 200 and role updated successfully. That's so good. So let's close this, delete this extra white spaces. That's it. So I think it's okay. Let's minimize the update role async and go to the next one. So what is the next one in AuthService? The next one is me async. Let's find it. Me, this is here. Let's cut it. After update role, I will paste it here. And let's delete this. And because it's async, I think we can use async here. That's good. For the me async, we are receiving a me DTO. Let's check me DTO. What was it? We are receiving a JWT token. We need to decode it and receive the data of it and work on it. Let's start. So the first thing is we need to create a handler for handling our token. Let's create it. So let's create a claims principle of handler, which is a new JWT security token handler. We used it previously on, let me show you again. In our token, you can see that we use that here, JWT token handler for writing. Now we use it for validating. Let's work on it. So here we're using new JWT security token handler. We need to validate the token. So what is its token? The token is me DTO dot token, which is a string. And then we need to add a token validation parameters. So here we need to have some validation. So we can use validate issuer equals to true. And let me show you that from Program.cs. validate issuer, validate audience, validate issuer, valid issuer, valid audience, and issuer signing key. Let's copy all of these because we exactly validate them, but why we are validating here inside of this token validation parameters. So let's copy all of them from program.cs and paste them here and work on them. So validate issuer is true, validate audience must be true. The valid issuer is the configuration, so let's delete this and use underline configuration that you saw. We worked on it. For the valid audience, we use underline configurations of JWT valid audience. That's good. For the issuer signing key, we use new symmetric key of encoding.utf8.getBytes of. For the builder.configuration, we use underline configuration. That's it. And also, after these parameters, we can have an output of security token of security token. That's it. Let's have some spaces. So after that, let's have the coded username, which equals to this handler that we created dot claims dot first, where q goes to q dot type equals to claim types dot name, and we need its value. So what is this? This is, you can see that we are creating this, and it would be this handler. In this handler, it is a claims principal like our user. So inside of the user claims, we search that what is the claim of name, and we receive the value of it. And first we validate it by using if the code username is null. So what we must return if it's not? We must return null. So because of this, let's make it optional. So instead of me async, let's make this optional, and also in AuthService, let's make it optional. So we can receive the null. That's good. So if the decoded username is null, it means that it was wrong and it was not a valid username. So we return null. After that, let's find our user. So var of user equals to await of underline user manager dot find by name async of our decoded username. Again, if this, let's copy this. Again, let's have another validation. If the user is null, we return null. That's it. After that, let's create our token. So we know, we are sure that our user exists on our database. That's so good. So let's create our new token equals to await of generate JWT token async of this user. This is exactly the reason we use the generate JWT token and generate user info object in login. Let me show you again. In login, we use this and also this because we wanted to use it on me async, so we are not repeating our code. So you know what? Let's copy all of these from here and go to the and minimize the login. So we are going to create a new token which is await of generate JWT token async of user, and we receive the roles which is underline user manager that gets roles async. Then we say user info is generate user info object of user and role. You saw them when we was working with login, and here in this login service log service that say new log, for this username we don't say new login, we say new token generated because this is not a login. And in this method we just received the token. I will show you that what is this functionality. It's so useful in your project. So this is it. Now we can return a new login service response DTO like our login. So we need to have a new token which equals to token, and also let's return the user info which equals to user info. That's it, and let's delete these extra spaces. We don't need them. That's good. So I think me async is created successfully. Let's minimize it. and go to the next one. Let's go to the AuthService. After me async, we have get users list async. Let's work on it. Get users details, get usernames, get users list. Yes, cut, paste it, and delete this. So this must be an async because it's an async operation. Well, let's create our user. So var of users equals to await of underline user manager dot users dot to list async. That's it. So we need to change them. So let's create a new list of user info result of user info results equals to a new list of user info result, because we don't want to return all of the fields of our user to the front end. We just need to send the user info result object. That's it. So let's create a for each var of user in users. We say var of roles equals to await of underline user manager dot get roles async of the user. Don't forget to use the await keyword here. It's too important because this is an async task. Then var of user info equals to generate user info object with the user and the roles. We again using that function, so you can see that this is the definition of don't repeat yourself or try. That's so good. We are not repeating all of the codes in different situations and locations. So we created var of roles, we created var of user info, and then we say user info results dot add this user info. That's good. And after this for each, we simply return user info result. That's it. So I think it's completed. Get users list, it's async. That's good. Let's minimize it and go back to our interface. So after get users, we have get user details but username. And you know what? Let's because it's a task, let's make its name async. Let's change the name of it. It's here. That's good. So let's delete this and make it an async. So here we need to get a user details by its username. So let's do this var of user equals to, now you are familiar with it, we can use await of underline user manager dot find. We can find by ID or email or name. We have the username, so we use find by name async, and we pass the username to it. And if the user is null, we can simply return null. Because of this, let's make this nullable, and also on the AuthService I make it nullable. Good. So if the user is null, we simply return null. That's it. Else we say var of roles. Let's receive the roles is await of underline user manager dot get roles of this user. That's it. Again, we are using that generate user info object. So let's say that var of user info equals to generate user info object with the user and the roles. So you can see that that function was very useful, and that's it. So generate info of user and roles, and we can return this user info. This is it. So I think it's completed, and let's check it. Okay, we check the user. If user is null, we return null, else we return the user info with this user and his roles or her roles. Let's minimize it, and it seems that we are on the final one, which is get username list async. Let's check it on the AuthService interface. Yeah, it's final one. Task of I enumerable of a string of get usernames list async. So let's work on it. Let's delete this. And because this is a task, we need to use async for it. Let's use var of users equals to await of user manager dot users. So this is list of all of our users, but we just need the username, which is a string. So let's use the select, or you know what, let's go to the next line and use dot select. We say that get q verb q dot username, and that's it, dot to list async. And we can go to the next line, use a semicolon here, and we return this. Or instead of users, let's use user names. I think it's a better name. Let's return this username. So I think it's completed. Let's minimize it and delete the extra spaces. We don't need these. That's good. Now let's save everything, close this AuthService and AuthService. That's it. So we created all of the, let's check them again. So we created all of the interfaces and the services, and now we just need to inject them to our services and use them in our controllers. Let's do this. Let's go to Program.cs, and here on the top in the dependency injection, we need to inject all of them. So let's use builder.services.addScoped. Let's copy this. Okay, so we have ilog. So again, I want to have iMessageService, and I want to inject MessageService to it. Then I want to have AuthService with AuthService. That's good. So now we have access to all of the services in our controllers.